Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive on well water treatment. We're
Yes.
diving into the essential guide to safe well water treatment today.
Which is really important for those of you out there who rely on a well for your water.
Yeah, it's all about making sure that the water coming out of your tap is safe and healthy for you and your family.
Absolutely. And we know you want to keep your water safe.
Right, but you also don't want to get lost in a sea of complicated procedures and confusing jargon.
Well, that's where this deep dive comes in,
Exactly. We're going to break it all down into easy to understand steps
using all the info from the essential guide.
so you can feel confident about taking care of your well water.
And I guess you could say we'll be taking a deep dive into the topic.
Oh, yeah, good one. Because well water, well, it might seem simple at first.
But trust me, there's more to it than meets the eye.
Way more.
It's not just about having a clear glass of water.
It's about understanding what's going on beneath the surface.
Literally.
Okay, so let's start with the basics.
All right.
Why is testing our well water so important?
Oh, that's a great question.
Like, it's not just about funny tastes or smells.
Right. There's actually a lot more to it.
Is there?
Yeah, think of it like this. Imagine you're baking a cake and you're using all sorts of ingredients, but you don't actually know what they are.
Okay,
You wouldn't just eat that cake without knowing what's inside, right?
probably not a mystery cake.
Yeah, well, water is kind of the same.
Oh,
It might look clean and clear,
okay.
but there could be hidden things lurking in there.
Lurking. Like what?
Well, we call those contaminants,
Okay.
and some of them you can't even see or smell.
Oh, that sounds a little scary.
Yeah, it can be a little bit, but that's why testing is so important.
So what kind of contaminants are we talking about specifically?
So there's a whole range of them, but some of the biggest and baddest are things like E. coli.
E. coli, yuck.
Yeah, and also heavy metals like lead and arsenic.
Those don't sound good.
Not good at all. And if you drink water with those contaminants over a long time, it can cause some pretty serious health problems.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then there are other things like hard water minerals.
What are those?
Those are minerals that can cause problems for your pipes and appliances over time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they kind of slowly build up, and it's like they create a traffic jam in your plumbing.
A plumbing traffic jam. That's a good way to put it.
And then eventually, boom, big problems.
Yikes. So that's definitely something we want to avoid.
For sure.
And I guess that's where regular testing comes in.
Exactly. Regular testing is key.
So do we need to become like water detectives or something?
You got it. And unlike city water, which is tested all the time, well water is the owner's responsibility to test.
So it's like having our own little mini water treatment plant at home,
That's a great way to think about it.
but without the monthly bill, I guess.
Exactly. No monthly bill, but maybe a little more hands-on science experiments.
Ooh, I like science experiments.
Okay.
So how do we actually go about testing our well water?
Well, you have a couple of options.
Okay.
You can use at-home test kits,
Oh, okay.
or you can send a sample to a certified lab.
Okay, so what's the difference?
At-home kits are kind of like those DIY science experiments you might have done in school.
Oh, yeah.
They're really easy and quick to use.
Cool.
They can tell you about things like pH, which is how acidic or basic your water is, and also things like hardness, which is all about those minerals we talked about that can clog up your pipes.
So the at-home kits, they're kind of like a quick checkup.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
And when would we want to go to a lab?
So if you want a really thorough analysis, then you'd want to go to a certified lab.
Okay.
They can test for a much wider range of contaminants,
Wow.
and they give you a super detailed report.
Okay, so it's kind of like taking your water to the doctor for a full physical.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how often do we need to play detective with our water?
The general recommendation is once a year.
Once a year.
But just like with going to the doctor, sometimes you need to go more often if you're not feeling well, right?
Okay.
So if you notice any changes in your water,
What kind of changes?
like if it looks different, smells different, or even tastes different,
Okay.
then it's a good idea to get it tested right away.
So it's like our water is trying to tell us something.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's interesting. I remember once I thought my water tasted like pennies.
Oh, no.
I know, I was freaking out. But it turned out I just needed to change the filter on my refrigerator.
Oh, good.
Yeah, talk about a false alarm. But speaking of changes, are there other times we'd need to test more often than that once-a-year checkup?
Yes, there are, and we'll get into that after a quick break. Yeah, so like after a heavy rainstorm,
Right.
or if there's any flooding, There's a chance that contaminants could have, like, snuck into your well.
Oh, so it's like all that extra water could carry bad stuff into the well.
Exactly. It's like if you left the door open and a bunch of unwanted guests came into your house.
Oh, that makes sense. We definitely don't want any unwanted guests in our well water.
Nope.
So regular testing helps us catch those uninvited guests early on.
Exactly.
But what happens if we do find something in our water?
Yeah. That's when the essential guide to safe well water treatment comes in handy.
Okay, so it's like our guidebook for fixing any problems.
Exactly. And once you know what's in your water, you can figure out the best way to treat it.
So it's all about matching the solution to the problem.
Exactly. It's like going to the doctor.
Oh,
They figure out what's wrong with you, and then they give you the right medicine.
I see. So what kind of water treatment options do we have?
Well, there are a few different ones.
Okay.
One method is called shock chlorination.
Shock chlorination. That sounds intense.
It is, but in a good way.
Right.
It's basically like giving your well a super deep clean with chlorine.
Oh, okay. Like how we use bleach to clean the bathroom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's really effective at killing bacteria.
So it's like hitting the reset button on our well's hygiene.
You got it.
When would we use shock chlorination?
So if you know there's been some kind of contamination,
Oh, okay.
like if bacteria is detected in your water,
Yeah.
then you'd use shock chlorination.
Gotcha. What about filtration systems?
Oh, those are great.
They sound pretty straightforward.
Yeah, they are. It's basically like using a strainer to catch all the unwanted stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so it's like our water goes through a giant filter
Yeah, kind of like that.
and it catches all the bad stuff.
Exactly. And there are actually different types of filters.
Oh, there are.
Yeah, for different types of contaminants.
Okay, so it's like having a whole water cleaning toolkit.
Exactly.
What are some of the tools in that toolkit?
So one that's really common is a carbon filter.
Okay, carbon filter, what does that do?
That one's really good at getting rid of pesticides
Okay,
and chlorine.
okay.
And it can even help with those weird smells that sometimes come from well water.
Well, that's good. I don't like smelly water.
Nobody does.
So carbon filters, they're like the air fresheners of the water world.
That's a great way to put it.
What about those really tough contaminants? Like heavy metals?
Well, for those, you'd need something called reverse osmosis.
Reverse osmosis. Now that sounds fancy.
It is pretty high tech.
Okay, so how does it work?
So imagine pushing water through this really, really fine mesh screen,
Okay.
and only the tiniest water molecules can get through.
Wow,
All the bigger stuff, all the bad stuff gets left behind.
that's amazing.
Yeah. So that's basically what reverse osmosis does.
So it's like giving our water a super duper filtration treatment.
Exactly.
So we've got chlorine shock treatment for like a deep clean.
Right.
And we've got filters to catch all sorts of contaminants.
Uh-huh.
But what about those teeny tiny villains?
The bacteria and viruses.
Yeah. Is there a way to get rid of those?
There is. We have something called UV water purification.
UV water purification. Okay, tell me more.
So imagine a tiny superhero
Okay, I'm picturing it.
zapping those little villains with a beam of light.
Oh, wow.
And that's basically what UV purification does.
Okay.
It uses ultraviolet light to destroy bacteria and viruses.
Wow. So it's like a natural way to disinfect our water.
Exactly.
That's so cool. Now, what about hard water?
Oh, yeah, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, with those minerals that can cause trouble for our pipes,
Right.
is there a way to soften them up?
Yeah, we have water softeners for that.
Okay, water softener.
And they're designed to deal with those pesky minerals.
So how do they work?
Well, think of those hard water minerals as like little clingy creatures
Okay.
that like to stick to your pipes
Yeah.
and make them all rough and bumpy.
Okay.
So water softeners use a trick to replace those clingy minerals with other ones that don't cause as much trouble.
So it's like they're teaching those minerals some manners.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay, so we've got chlorine shock treatment for a deep clean.
Yep.
We've got filtration systems to catch all the contaminants.
Right.
We've got UV light to zap those microbes.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got water softeners to make those minerals behave.
That's right. It's a whole system.
It's like a whole water care routine.
It is.
Is there anything else we need to remember to keep our well happy and healthy?
Yes, absolutely. And we'll cover that after a quick break.
So it's like we need to give our well a little bit of TLC.
Exactly. Regular maintenance is key.
Like giving it a spa day.
Not quite a spa day, but yeah, you want to keep it in good shape.
Okay, so what kind of TLC does our well need?
Well, the Essential Guide recommends a few things.
Okay.
First, you want to get your well inspected every year.
By a professional?
By a professional, yep.
Okay.
They'll come in and they'll check for any cracks or leaks,
Okay.
and they'll make sure everything is structurally sound.
So it's like taking our well to the mechanic,
Take us
make
to-
sure everything's running smoothly.
Exactly.
What else is on the well maintenance checklist?
Keeping good records is really important.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
So Every time you test your water,
Okay.
just jot down those results.
Okay.
And if you do any repairs or treatments, just make a note of that too.
So it's like creating a health history for our well.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it.
I like it, a little well journal.
Because then you can track any changes over time.
Mm-hmm.
And you can spot potential problems early on.
Oh, that's really smart. Now, what about the pump?
The pump, that's the heart of the well system.
Yeah, it's what brings the water up from underground.
Exactly.
So do we need to maintain that too?
Yeah, it's good to have a professional inspect it every few years.
Okay.
Just to make sure it's running smoothly.
Okay. We don't want it to have a heart attack.
Nope, definitely not.
So we've got regular inspections for the well,
Right.
keeping good records of everything,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure the pump is happy.
That's right.
Those are the key ingredients for a well-maintained well.
Exactly.
Anything else we should keep in mind?
One last thing.
Yep.
Just pay attention to what's going on around your wellhead.
Around the wellhead.
Yeah, like where the well comes out of the ground.
Yep.
Just make sure that area is clear
Of what?
of any potential contaminants.
Like what kind of contaminants?
So things like chemicals
Okay.
or fertilizers
Okay.
or animal waste.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah, you don't want any of that stuff getting into your well.
So it's like we're creating a little protective bubble around our well.
Exactly. Keep those nasty things away.
I see. Well, it's been quite a journey exploring the world of well water treatment.
It has.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from testing to treatment to maintenance.
We have, and with all the info from the Essential Guide,
And the insights you've shared with us?
you are well equipped to take charge of your well water health.
Well said. And I feel so much more knowledgeable now
Good.
about how to keep my well water safe and healthy.
That's great to hear.
Thanks for guiding us through this fascinating world.
My pleasure.
Remember, everyone, knowledge is power.
Especially when it comes to our water.
Absolutely. So now that you've learned all about well water treatment, what one action will you take this week to make sure your well is happy and healthy? Until next time, stay curious and keep those glasses filled with clean, delicious water.